Salam alaikum, ciao, konnichiwa, bonjour, hola. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Ken at 10. How are you today? Hope you're well, and I hope you had a lovely weekend. Today here in Norbury, southwest London, this is Ken at 10. We broadcast daily from our offices in southwest London, SW16 Norbury to be precise, and that's between Streatham to the north and Croydon to the south. And it's a beautiful spring day, and I'll tell you what, we really noticed a pickup over the weekend in the number of viewings. Incredible the difference that's made just, in the last week. It's absolutely gone off the scale. It's gone absolutely crazy. Viewings literally off the scale. So much competition for property. It's unbelievable. I've never seen so much for many years now. And that's really echoed by the latest property sentiment index, which is something that's brought out every month by On the Market, the major property portal. They say against the backdrop of rising cost of living, decades high inflation and rising interest rate, buyer and seller sentiment is showing no signs of slowing down as a sense of competition takes hold of the housing market. Data shows month-on-month increases in buyers and sellers believing they'll buy and sell within 3 months. More active buyers, 75% in February, were confident that they would purchase a property within the next 3 months, compared with 72% in January. And I expect that only because this is actually reporting on last month. The analysis has just come through. And I expect that to be even stronger in March, the way things are looking. It then goes on to say, that said, the overall market backdrop is undeniably more stable than the hectic scenes witnessed last year. The market feels more familiar, not the total unknown, which agents have had to navigate over the last 18 months, meaning there's now a greater sense of adjustment. This new normal is distinct from the pre-pandemic market. It's an elevated, faster-paced version where a number of highly motivated buyers are keen to move and eager to compete with other like-minded buyers for the small number of available properties. And that's really what we found. And the stats say 78%, 75% of active buyers were confident they'll purchase a property within the next 3 months. 82% of sellers said they would sell their property within the next 3 months, and 61% of properties were sold subject to contract within 30 days of being first advertised, compared with 43% in February. Positive buyer and seller sentiment remains high as motivated buyers compete for limited stock. Well, that's certainly, we can echo that here. And today we have a large number of offers coming through from the weekend, and still people wanting to view things that are already under offer. So it's really quite crazy out there. And then another article in the Times and the Evening Standard from Boomin, the other property portal, highlights the huge gap in gender house price affordability as a result of the imbalance in pay between men and women. The research found the annual gross income of $38,061 that's of a male, requires 7.3 times salary. And in contrast, the average British female requires 11.1 times her average normal annual income of 25,000 of the same property. Households, of course, another article in the Telegraph, of being offered payments of £350 to host a refugee. And it's good to say that we've got some incentive there, even if it's a small one for people. On to interest rates now. Bank of England is set to raise interest rates on Thursday still. This is against the backdrop of rising inflation. One of the few weapons that the central bank, the Bank of England, has against inflation is rates, and controlling inflation through interest rate rises is something, it's a weapon, and it's pretty much the only one they have in their armory. And it looks certain they're going to raise the rate from 0.5 to 0.75 on Thursday as they step up their battle against inflation, despite a stark warning from the Chancellor that the war in Ukraine is creating significant economic uncertainty in Britain. Well, if he's saying that, then what he should be thinking about is fuel duty. I really do think that now, with the fuel crisis, they should be talking about reducing their taxation, because the Chancellor's getting more and more money from people when they're filling up their fuel tanks. And it just doesn't seem fair in an environment where we're all struggling that they're getting more money out of it. George Buckley, an economist at Nomura Bank, said he expected a rate rise this week and again in May, August and November and February next year, taking the benchmark from 0.5 to 1.75, which is a significant increase there. Women outshine men at DIY. Well, who knew? Women are more prepared to roll their sleeves up and get on with home improvements, according to a survey. A study by Purple Bricks has found that while more than 1 in 3 women would prefer to do the jobs themselves rather than hiring help, only 28% of men feel the same. The firm spoke to 1,000 adults who had bought and sold a property in the last 2 years, and also found there's an age gap in willingness to open up the toolbox. Just 12% of over 55s call in a professional to make a home more sellable compared to around 1 in 4 in their 20s. The managing director said, our research shows that despite higher buyer demand, house-proud sellers are still going the extra mile to ensure their home will find a buyer. Well, it's not just about finding a buyer, it's about achieving the best price for your home. And this is something that we're expert at, and we do a lot of work with our clients to make sure they're presented in the best possible light. And so often we find that people have invested heavily in things that have no impact on seller appeal or buyer appeal. And so it's really important you get those right. So do call us around. Please call us before you do anything, because so often we're seeing houses where buyers and sellers rather have done their best to make adjustments, but those adjustments won't return in terms of pounds, shillings and pence. So make sure that you call us in first, or have a chat, drop us an email, ken@jamesalexander.com, or listen up to one of the podcasts, the Property Buyer and Sellers podcast, which you'll find on your favorite provider. Apart from that, busy week on valuations again this week, and lots of new instructions pending. So we've got lots of exciting new things coming up for you. And it really is quite a mad week. So, you know, we're now booking up valuations for later on in the week, because we're kind of chocker early in the week already, which is great. It's what we like to be. You know, I always like to be busy, not quiet, and I can't complain at that. But we still need more stock, because there's so many buyers that are keen to purchase over the next few months, and they're registering with us, and we don't quite have what they want necessarily, or they've looked at what we got and it doesn't quite fit their needs. Some, it's about the size of the garden. For some, it's the garage or lack of parking. Whatever it is, we want to help, and you can help us do that. If you've got a house to sell and you're considering, you just want to chat, remember, it's all without obligation. You know, we do this stuff not expecting any immediate return. One of the things about our business is it's very long term. Sometimes we meet people and then we don't meet them again for years. And it's years and years later that they come and say, you know what, Ken, we're ready now. Let's get on the market and get moving. And that's okay. You know, it has to be right for you. I always say this. It's not something you should be sold into. It's something that you need to have made the commitment to do, because it's such a big thing to do, isn't it? You know, it's such a big commitment, such a massive financial decision, that you need to be sure that it's right for you and your family at the time you do it. But right now, it's a busy time. I always say, though, you know, bear in mind that if it's busy here, it's probably busy while where you're buying too. But the good news is that the supply of properties seems to be opening out slightly, and that has to be a good thing if you're moving to purchase another property here in the UK. Always in the end, if you're moving to a similar price range, maybe slightly higher, slightly lower, the net effect is zero. You know, if you sell for £1 and you buy for £1, then your net effect is the same, and your investment in the UK property is the same as if you sold for £1 million and bought for £1 million. The only thing that gets in the way of that, of course, is the horrible stamp duty bill that you get in the middle of that, which is a bit of a shocker. And again, you know, something that we've talked about for a while now. We need to incentivize people to get out and move on, especially those older ones that have got large homes and have chosen not to move just because of that horrible stamp duty bill that they're facing. I think we do need to incentivize people that don't need or use the space they've got available to move into smaller places, to allow the families into the bigger homes and help with supply at that end of the market. But in terms of the market generally, huge amount of confidence out there. Of course, we've got huge challenges ahead. Awful to see what's going on in Ukraine right now. As I've said many times, my heart, thoughts and prayers go out to the families of the Ukrainians, both in this country, out there, and all the Polish people helping as well. It's fantastic to see. They've done so much out there. But yeah, so I hope you have a fantastic day. That's it for today. We're back tomorrow with another edition. Tomorrow morning, I might be a bit late actually, because I've got another edition of Homes Under the Hammer. Tomorrow morning, I'm in Wimbledon with the production crew for another episode, and looking forward to that. We never quite know when it's going live though, because that's the first look. This is where they've just bought it at the auction. We're having a look around and talking about potential, what maybe they should do, we think they should do, what the area's like. And then we get the second look once they've done the work. So often people say, well, when will it be aired? And you just don't know, because it depends, A, when they've finished, and B, when the production crew can get back, and C, when they can book us all in to do the final bits. But it's always fun to do. And we're there tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. sharp, for an early one. So I might miss Ken at 10. It might be more like Ken at 10:30 or 11, but we'll be back tomorrow then. So until then, stay safe and well. Look after yourselves, and if you can, your family and friends. Ciao.